Hey guys, Nikhil here from Home Banao. I have a really interesting interview for you today. I am with Alifia, the author of Soulspaces, an incredible book which I think every homeowner or any aspiring homeowner should have a go through. Thank you so much for joining us, Alifia.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much, Nikhil.
So, before we get started, can you tell me a bit about yourself? Can you tell our audience a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so basically by background, I'm an interior designer and I have my own design company called Design Mint where we make metal art and decor. And through this journey of, going through all sorts of facets of design, my design background has been in the last decade or plus in this field. And so the book basically happened after I felt there was a big need for a resource like this to be out there.
Right.
So it's always been design, everything to do with design, construction and all about that.
So, just out of curiosity, what is Soulspaces, the book?
Soulspaces actually is a book that I really felt is required by every homeowner because, the process of making a home is not a very often, something that you do very often. It's maybe done just once, twice or thrice in your lifetime. It's not something that you do every day. And people have so many dreams associated with their home, Everybody wants to build a beautiful home that they can, truly call their own. And now with the pandemic which has hit us, people have realized the importance of having a home that suits and reflects their taste and personality. I always felt that there was nothing out there for people to kind of go to a resource that they could have. And, being in this line of work that I do, you end up getting called for housewarmings and things like that. And you end up seeing beautiful, beautiful houses, which are very expensive, marble and all sorts of materials, But sometimes you see the homeowner and they kind of have an expression that it looks great, but it doesn't really feel like me. It doesn't feel like my space. So that's why I felt that this kind of resource was important because there are so many different designers out there, so many different styles out there. How do you know what is right for you and how do you create a dream home? So this resource basically combines all of that, what I thought is necessary for every homeowner to have, to understand how, what kind of styles are out there and what, more importantly, they don't need to know, what is mid-century modern or they don't need to know what is minimalist or eclectic, but they have an inherent design personality. So this book helps them find out what their design personality is and then connects them to different interior designers out there who can, deliver the home of their dreams to them.
So moving on, can you take me through the process and the journey of writing this book? What did you go about doing it? What you're claiming that I want to make sure that every homeowner goes through something like this because this is a resource which will give them a direction or a thought process.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How did you manage to pull that off? And
so it was a lot of brainstorming basically with friends and discussing what any homeowner would want. So typically how a person starts off on this journey of designing their home is that the internet is a wonderful resource out there and people end up Googling and looking at Pinterest and looking at Instagram and screenshotting all of these pictures where they just basically design, they get to their designer and they show them that this is the kind of house I want. So we kind of found these stories coming in and again, and we wanted to actually help people to understand, first, it's not about a beautiful picture because something on Pinterest is done on which scale, you have no idea what the climatic conditions are or what the context is or what the client brief is. All of that is not known. It's just a pretty picture on the internet. So we try to just, first of all, think about how a new homeowner would go about this process and then try to break it down as to what the difficulties are. So understanding where their style is because resonating with a design style which is truly your own is something what has to come out in your house. And your home always tells a story about you, That's the best place. When the moment you enter a house, you see so many different things. It could be even a small curio which you've got, from your travels abroad. And that tells a story about you. So we felt that these kind of stories need to be celebrated and people should have a nice way to kind of go through this journey and have a pleasant time through it because some of the homeowners I had met had a terrible time going through the interiors because, of course, it's not something that everybody can do. There are trained professionals for this. So we broke it down that way and we help people understand the design style. Then we've put in a form also where people can write down all the different things about their family, about the kind of how they like to spend their time, whether it's, spending time with family, friends, or just watching television, movies, or do they travel, do they not travel. So we put all of that together in the book itself. And then we thought that after you know what your design style is and after you know what you want from your home, it makes sense to have a professional who's an expert in these styles to execute it for you. So we interviewed many of India's designers. We actually traveled to Bangalore, Bombay, Hyderabad and Delhi, and met up with, personally met many designers. So I think almost 100 designers is what we interviewed for the book itself, and then curated it as to what we felt, what the strengths of these designers were there. We curated it to 48 and put them in the book. And in the end, we put a chapter on budgeting, because that's something that every homeowner goes out. First question is that, that will it be within budget?
Kitna lagega?
Absolutely. So how do designers work?
Right.
Because I feel that they're two different worlds, and we needed a bridge to kind of get the two on the same plane, so that finally the homeowner has a pleasant experience out of it, and the designer has a wonderful time creating that home for the client. So that was the intention.
And how long did this process take?
The process itself, I think it was just 2 years of research, traveling all over and just doing the interviews, and then around another 1.5 years of just editing and compiling and bringing it all together.
Wow, so it's like a good 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love.
And I must say, this is a visual treat as a book, guys. You should really check it out. It looks absolutely beautiful. She has a free chapter. I'll link it in the description so that you get an idea.
Absolutely.
Now, talking a little bit more about the contents in the book, starting with the most basic thing, right? You said that, look, something can look amazing, something can look beautiful, but it may not be for you, right? And you said each person has his own personal style and things like that.
Correct.
So how did you end up coming up with, design styles to begin with? And what's the thought process which went behind that? And adding to this, like any experience you can share of probably the designer or the homeowner where despite having a beautiful home, it was not his.
Correct.
Or hers, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so actually, because of my background in design, there are many different interior design styles out there. And perhaps earlier, there were not that many options, but today the world is your oyster. You can pick a style from anywhere and kind of make it your own.
Right.
So there's just too much to choose from. It's like everything else today. There's just too many options, But you need to choose wisely, and you need to choose well, which is for you. So what I've done is I've distilled out, there might be at least 40-50 different styles, and there are mainly 3 styles, but then there are sub variations of that style which are there. So I've kind of just simplified the whole thing and just distilled it to the 3 major interior design styles that are out there, and put that in the book. And then, of course, if you want to do a little bit of take, that you feel that, okay, my design style is classic, but I want European classic or French classic or Indian traditional or European eclectic. So there's so many different design styles out there. So I've just mainly made it simple, absolutely simple, just put 3 in the book. And then after that, once you have a designer to work with, they'll help you distill that and get your own personality out into that style.
So this is an interesting question now that you speak about a designer, right? So say I identify the style as a homeowner.
Right.
How important is it to find the right designer for that style?
Of course, there are many designers who are multi-talented and do fantastic work. And even in the book, we have fantastic designers who very well do a lot of different styles well. But supposing it's something like a classic style where you require that kind of workmanship, you need to know the people who are able to deliver on that kind of style. It obviously makes sense to go to a designer who's got a good background in that work.
Right.
If you go to somebody who's done only contemporary work, and then you expect them to bring out a beautiful European styled home, they may not simply just have access to the kind of vendors needed to execute that kind of work,
Makes sense.
So that's why we split it across. Actually, the book is made so easy to kind of go through. It's color coded. So each different design style has a different color, and it's across 4 cities. So we've sectioned out the whole thing. So once you understand what your design style is, all you have to know is remember the color, and you can just flip across the book and see the different designers who are specialists in that style. So that's how it is.
Okay. Moving on to some more parts of the book. So one of the things was what are the different areas in the home, and what are the things people should be thinking about in those areas. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you came up with that part?
Yeah, so I think that's the first chapter of the book, and we always felt that different areas have different functions, and you need to curate your home in such a way that each place satisfies that function. So sometimes you just want a lovely sitting formal area, which his main function is to kind of impress your guests, or or be a comfortable space for you, depending on what your priorities are. So there are some places which can be high on aesthetics, and some places which really need to be high on functionality. So like your kitchen, every square inch of space should be functional, so that you can put away as much, and everything should be clutter free. So that way we kind of demarcated and help people understand what the different areas, the functions and the aesthetics should be like, so that it sets the tone for how they would want to plan out their storage and where they want to put, something, a statement piece or something like that. So that's also there.
So moving on to the next question, you mentioned that you traveled across India, spoke to the leading interior designers across the country.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Why you did that? What was their response as well? And what were the sort of discussions you had, and something really memorable which you experienced while discussing with these people?
Right. So I think, first of all, typically how people choose a designer is that, they go to a housewarming, and if they like the house, they said, who did your interiors, and that's how it goes. It's very word of mouth, And I felt a resource like this was important, but the first thing I wanted to do was to check out each person. Like, I did not want to recommend somebody who was just perhaps an address on Google, but actually there was nothing there, because that happens also all the time. So I wanted to actually physically go and meet each person and understand what their work is about and see where their strengths lie, so that it could be a good fit for the person. Supposing they look at the recommendations in the book and they actually do choose a designer, it should be that it's worth the time and the effort spent in doing that. So what I ended up doing was I ended up researching a lot, we first concentrated on the 4 major cities in India, and looked at all of these people's work, and got in touch with them and interviewed them personally, asked them all the questions that we wanted to, saw all of their previous work that they've done. And we've actually got a lovely mix of fresh upcoming designers and people who are very established in the field. Some very, very interesting stories and very interesting designers. It's amazing the talent that we have.
You should read the book for that, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's some amazing talent out there. And I feel that just because of us not knowing what's out there, we kind of end up limiting our choices.
Right.
So I really wanted people to have enough of... not for a lack of connects. I wanted them to know that these are so many people out there who do lovely work. So I think so many memorable ones actually when we
something which stands out.
We actually met the designer who designed Palace on Wheels.
Okay.
The train. It was absolutely amazing meeting her, and the story that how she went about it was a competition, and in 3 months she had to complete the project.
Wow.
It was really, really cool. And then we also met another designer who it was almost like a mystery finding his office, because you just couldn't tell. It was just like this door, and you just go and open the door quietly, and then it looks like a house from outside. You just can't tell. And then a butler, was literally a very, very sweet individual, he came up to us and asked that, okay, you have an appointment with so and so, why don't you come inside? So we were like mysteriously led into the conference room and made to wait over there. We were like, wow, what is this? So we've had some really nice experiences trying to interview these designers, and lovely, lovely work.
And what should a homeowner expect to learn about these design firms as they're reading the book?
Yeah, so actually I've made it very easy for anybody to understand the main things about things that you look for when you look at a designer. So you want to know the number of years that they've been in the business. You want to know which are the different cities they operate in. You want to know how many projects they do in a year. You want to know the design style, what is the size of the team, what is their typical delivery time. So all of those information I've just kept as a snapshot, which is just very nicely kept, so that you can leaf through it and understand immediately. Because if you have a slower pace, say that you want to enjoy the process and you want to take around 6 to 8 months, maybe a designer who's very used to just going and finishing a project in 3 months may not be the one for you. So there's a lovely variety of designers out there who work at different budget scales, teams, everything. So
okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next part, which is, I guess, a very, very important question, something which I've also tried to educate through Home Banao. Why should a homeowner even look for a professional?
Oh.
And I know this is an entire chapter in the book.
Yes, I truly believe so. It's like when you're sick, you go to the doctor. When you need any anything happens in your life, you go to a professional, you know. And again, I feel a house is something that you don't do very often. And the budget you set aside for it, the dreams that you have of living in that space is very, very special. You know, it is not something that you do over and over again. And there are trained specialists who do a fantastic job in doing just this. This is, I mean, they've spent years in design school as architects and interior designers, and they really know. And I always have felt that it's more expensive making a mistake, you know, than paying a designer to do it right the first time. So, so that's the reason why I really think that everybody who can, you know, and it's not that they're unaffordable at all. It's just that you have to find the right fit and use a designer for your home. So,
as you said, the important word to remember: you have designers who do projects on budgets also.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure you met some good ones.
Yes, we did.
I hope every city has at least one or two budget designers.
Yes. I have up-and-coming designers who are featured in the book, and they are budget-friendly. Even the kind of budget scale that they work on is mentioned in the book. So if they're very high premium, it's mentioned that they go for very premium projects. If they are mid to, you know, mid-luxury or just mid-level also, even that's mentioned in the book. So you can always, so you already know that they do these kind of projects. So it's much easier to approach also.
So moving on to the next part, you met so many interior designers.
Right.
You met some of the best ones in India. I'm sure you also interact with a lot of homeowners.
Yes.
What are some very, very common mistakes you've seen homeowners do?
I think just not understanding the journey is the biggest mistake, you know. And in India, I mean, we have this whole jugaad mentality that we can do it and we can do it well, and, you know, we can hack our way into doing whichever way. So I think not understanding that interiors and getting a home done right isn't that easy of a task. So I've met a lot of homeowners who've taken up the task of contracting themselves, you know, saying that, acha, design, so I know what I want and I know the vendor, so unko bula lenge and we'll just put 2 and 2 together. But not understanding the amount of coordination required, you know, because the carpenter will go mid-work and then he will like, madam, screw nahi hai, we screw do, you know, or Fevicol nahi, and just all of those kind of issues. Or then understanding that the light points is done, but another extra one was needed, and that should have been planned in advance.
Right.
So all of those things, I have come across people trying to take it up on their own and literally, you know, losing their hair over it. So I think those are the common things, mistakes again and again. Trying to be your own contractor is
another mistake.
Yes. I think that would be the biggest. Biting off more you can chew, I would say. So.
You should have added a chapter of this actually.
Biting off more than you can chew.
Yeah. Anyway, and the last part, which is, so I'm a homeowner.
Yes.
Of course, I purchased Soulspaces. So how do I make most of this book, and how do I make sure that, you know, as the book states, like, I get my Soulspace done? Like, what's the journey which I should take according to you?
Yeah, so just first of all, get the book and read it, and go through each of the sections which are mentioned in the book. Do the personality quiz, you know, fill up the list.
I forgot. So there's some quizzes in the book, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me a bit more about the
It's a
quizzes?
very handy quiz which helps you understand what your design personality is. Because like I said, there are so many styles out there. How do you know what is your personal style, you know? Maybe you love classic interiors and you just didn't even know that was your like, because like I said, we're bombarded with the internet and we're bombarded with images, and when we see something, we're like, this looks good, this might look good. But what is your inner personality? So I've kind of just made a very easy, fun quiz, you know, to understand your design personality. Then we've given a form where you can fill out with all of what your family and yourself like to do, how you like to spend your time, where, what, all of those things are there. So it makes it very easy. So once you go through all of these things in the book, we've also done the first chapter, which is, you know, how you can plan out each of the space. After you do the first section of the book, you're actually ready and you know what you want. Once you know what you want, it is a matter of understanding what are the different designers out there and who would be a right fit for you. So through the 48 designers that we've given, leaf through that, it's a very, very visual book. So there are lots of pictures, you know, you will understand what a person's design style is. The interior designers who are out there, all of their project pictures are in there. They've been kind enough to share it with us. So we've put all of those in the book. So immediately you can understand that, acha, mere ko ye pasand hai, nahi pasand hai. And after you do that, you know, if you selected a designer from the book itself, get in touch with them. Or if you feel that you want to go for a different designer, even then you already have you know, a ready reckoner, okay, this is what you like and this is what you resonate with. And it makes the job for yourself and for the designer so much easier, because I think it's very important to trust your designer, you know. And so Once you do that, then the process becomes so much easier. And we've also given a chapter on how you can budget for your interiors. So it kind of keeps everything in check. So you know, acha, this is the kind of budget. These are the kind of things I should talk to with my designer. These are the things I can expect. Because people don't even know how to go into that whole process of what they can ask for and what they can't. So through the journey of this book, I think it's a blueprint basically to create your dream home. So once you're done with it, that's what you have.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for doing this, Alifia.
Thank you.
Again, I have just been flipping through the book and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a great read and it's a great visual treat. I will link the book. If you want, you can purchase it. It's available on Amazon. I'll link it in the description below. And if you have any questions for Alifia, I'll see if I can get your contact details.
Yes.
You can definitely get in touch with her.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for doing this. If you have any questions for me or Alifia, please let us know in the comment section below. See you guys in our next video.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Alifia.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.